Women are evil. That's right. Women are evil. Welcome to the
No,
Redeye
men are
stream.
evil.
Welcome to the Redeye stream number 204. Don't let the woman fool you. She is evil. Tonight we're going to talk about the midterms as soon as the results start rolling in. Before then, though, I figured we'll banter a little bit. And I was just talking about that story on Halloween in California. A guy was walking down the interstate wrapped in bandages all over his face and his hands and stuff, almost like a burn victim, carrying a knife, which I believe turned out to be a scalpel. A lot of people driving by thought this was a Halloween prank. Turns out it wasn't. The man was as mentally ill and deranged as somebody could be, and was closing his eyes while he walked down the highway, right? He's in the middle of the highway, eyes closed, knife at his side, fucking strolling like he's in fucking Wonderland. What the flying fuck? It turns out he ended up escaping from the hospital, and the police, well, caught him. Wouldn't that be kind of frightening on Halloween, right? Even though this was during the day, that's pretty crazy.
It was
Go on, then.
definitely different to even hear about. I'm looking it up right now because, like I said, I had no information about it.
Yeah, I got the article on Halloween from Fox LA. So yeah.
To be honest, if you think about it, it can all be explained with just one word: California.
Pills?
Just one word, Californians. Yeah.
Do you think there is any other words needed?
Pills?
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's crazy even by California standards.
At this point, if I'm feeling cruel, I should say, has anyone heard from 40 lately?
Yeah,
I seen him on earlier.
He actually sent a comment today to me
Oh.
in one of my videos.
Yeah, did he tell you to shut the fuck up? Somebody needs to. No kidding.
Well, apparently I need to leave. I've been now kicked off of the stream. I didn't know that was going to happen.
No. So did you go out to the polling place today, MC?
No, I voted by mail.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you had told me that already. My bad. Sherardi, did you vote?
No, I did not.
Oh, that's because you're a woman. You're not allowed to vote, right?
No, that's because I have no way of getting to where I need to go.
Oh, because they don't allow you to drive, right?
Yes.
Come on, I'm trying to make woman jokes here and pass a little bit of time while we're waiting on the polls.
Actually, yes, they don't allow me to drive, but not for the reasons you think. And I just found the story on iHeartRadio.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's a tweet on iHeartRadio with the story below it. The tweet starts, "This is not a Halloween prank. I called 911 and then CHP, who confirmed that it's not a prank and that this man was mentally ill. They said they picked him up and brought him back to the hospital. This man was carrying a knife and walking with his eyes closed down Highway 10 West. His head and left hand were bandaged. There is another video that someone took and posted it on YouTube and Reddit of the man ripping off his head bandages." And then a bunch of ats. But it's a video. Wow.
Yeah, no, I wasn't joking. And that was some pretty weird shit. I mean, I can see how people would think that's a Halloween prank, but it was broad daylight, and he was walking down the middle of the hallway. Oops, highway.
Dude,
yeah, I mean, when you do it on Halloween, I mean, you can expect that.
His head is... It looks like he just got out of surgery.
Probably did. I think that was a scalpel in his hand, but I might be wrong. But how's he going to get a butcher knife when he escaped from the hospital? I'm guessing it's a fucking scalpel.
The kitchen?
What? Whose kitchen? He went home, grabbed his butcher knife, and then, I'm going to walk down the highway.
On the way by.
That's even more terrifying.
Dude,
can you imagine this
bandaged
guy? This fucking bandaged dude sneaking into your house. You catch him in your kitchen. You're like, what the fuck?
Give me a wrench so that I can link these things. That way other people can see them. Good dodge.
But
it's amusing how many people are actually streaming the midterms now.
Yeah, you were just saying before we went on air that we're jumping the gun a little bit, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, the reality is you're not going to start seeing anything until probably around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, which is 5 o'clock West Coast time, before you start getting any real results as to what people are picking. All right. So, with the exception of the already more or less expected hardcore one way or the other types of seats. So, and then of course the polling across the nation is going to, they have different times that all that's going to take place. So how these races are going, okay, are not going to be known until probably close to 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast time, if not 12 or 1, before you start to see, okay, whether or not it's really going to be this, blue wave, red wave, or what the hell's happening. We're not going to know until you start to see actual results. These ideas of exit polling showing you any kind of information whatsoever. All right, we know that from the last time that was totally inaccurate. So exit polling is not going to show you much until after the fact, and then, and quite honestly, all right, one of the problems with exit polling lately has been they're being lied to. Okay, people are lying to the exit pollers, so you can't even use that to modify or model necessarily what you're expecting to happen in the next race if you're someone who's creating polls and doing polling. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have any real idea of what's happening, probably until about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, to see even if there is such a thing as a wave. Okay, and if there isn't a wave, which I expect there's not going to be a wave Republican or a wave for the Democrats, then it's just going to be, okay, race by race, house by house, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm looking on Politico right now. Race ratings, Democrats to take the House, GOP likely to hold the Senate. I don't necessarily believe that. They've been saying that for months and months. That's the same old story, right?
Well, what that's saying basically is that there's not going to be a wave. All right, that's what it's indicating. The problem is with the last election, all right, and actually the election before that, 2014 as well. The polling methodologies have been proven to be weak or absolutely inaccurate. Okay, and anything to do with national polls, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely useless, especially in a midterm election. All right, so how are you going to play this? How is this going to turn out? All right, you're seeing polls from all over the place. I'd mentioned this earlier. Right here in Arizona, right, for example, you've got one poll that shows Kirsten Sinema at 6% lead or 7% lead, and then you have another poll taken within 24 hours of the other one, all right, showing the absolute opposite with McSally with a 6 or 7 point lead. All right, so how do you know what's going to be accurate? You don't know what's going to be accurate. Well, okay, so we'll do some prognostication by saying, okay, well, in early voting, more Democrats have shown up here than have in the past. Okay, well, more Republicans have shown up here in the past. Okay, but that doesn't tell you how they voted. It could be completely a complete wash. All right. there's so many different dynamics that are going to be local. That are things are going to hinge on a lot of these races that we're really not, I don't think, going to know. I think people are going to be watching this until the wee hours of the night to know who's in charge of the Senate, who's in charge of the House. Now, in the Senate, though, to be honest, we'll probably know pretty quick. All right. The most likely, though, on the East Coast, the races which could flip will probably be either be close. If they're not close, then that's going to indicate a wave. If all of a sudden it's not close in Florida, where Ben Nelson wins handily, and the other guy Gillum, right, wins the governorship, then that would indicate to me that there's probably a blue wave, and the Republicans are in a lot of trouble. I don't expect that.
So far, the only thing I know as far as the House is that Indiana is 100% Republican. Everything else, there's no for sure information on.
Well, in Indiana, actually, the Democrat is the incumbent, the senator. The Democrat senator in Indiana is currently that's up for re-election this time, happens to be a Democrat. That person, obviously, considering that Mike Pence is the vice president, and the fact that Trump was very well known there, makes it very difficult for the Democrats to hold on to that seat. So that could be a flip to the Republicans.
Are you thinking Rand Paul is in trouble in Kentucky?
No. If you just take a look at the dynamics, you were looking at the Politico, okay, and one of the things to look at in the Senate for the Politico, right, is look at the number of already seats that the Republicans have. 42 seats they already have. Why? Because they're not up for re-election. That's why they're saying those 42 seats are safe. They're saying only 23 Democrats are not up for re-election. Look at how many more Republican or Democrats are up for re-election compared to Republicans. The Republicans only need to either keep all 10 or flip just a couple to gain their lead. If you split it right down if let's say it's a 50-50 split, right down the middle, the Republicans would pick up at least 5 seats.
Politico just rebooted on my screen. The first polls are closing. I'm guessing that's out of New York, New Jersey, pretty much the eastern seaboard, right?
Yes. And of course, now they've got to get the county. Okay. By 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you're going to know whether or not Menendez, right, is either in a lot of trouble or whether or not he's won his re-election. And
this is interesting off of Politico. Lindsey Graham at a rally says a new attorney general is likely by the end of 2019. You have stood fast on saying that you do not believe Jeff Sessions, his job is in danger. Even Lindsey Graham believes it is. Don't you think Lindsey Graham might know a little bit more than you or I?
Possibly. We'll see how it turns out.
I thought that was an interesting story, especially since you know how I feel about the Keebler Elf. Let's take a look at the chat. Just my stupid opinion. I still plan on joining your stream about the midterms as well. Would you like to jump on here? It's in general in my Discord. So if you would like to jump on here,
it's in music.
No, I put it in general. I didn't put it in music. I guess that's. But if you would like to jump on here for a little bit, that would be cool. If not, it's all good. I still plan on joining you. That's probably when the results are actually going to be coming in too. We might have more to say on your stream about it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Jeff Sessions' job is necessarily at risk, but I would like it to be.
Why? Because he dares to sit up there and follow the law.
You know why.
Yeah, because your stupid idea is that somehow an attorney general shouldn't follow laws you don't like.
Fair enough. I don't like the law, and I don't believe it should be enforced. I believe in the state's right to nullify, which you don't. But nullification been around for over 100 and something years. So who are you to argue?
Talking about nullification been around for however long it has been, and who am I? I'm just somebody who says, look, we either have rule of law, or we don't, or we have anarchy. In which case, you have rule of force.
Even somebody like Judge Andrew Napolitano believes in
I
the.
don't care if Judge Napolitano cares about nullification. It doesn't matter. If it goes to the Supreme Court has been very clear on this. So either you follow what the Supreme Court says or you don't. If you don't, then you might as well not have any law.
Okay. Jensen, it's the morning after bonfire night. Did they burn half of London down and hopefully the half with the Sharia law?
No, it was really freaking quiet, actually. I mean, I don't know. Maybe people are nervous about going out of their houses with, explosions going on. Maybe there's been some, recent history involving explosions that make people nervous. I'm not certain. But no, seriously, absolutely fuck all of interest has happened in London. It's kind of depressing.
You mean they're afraid of the muzzies?
I would never say such a thing.
It's because you're not allowed.
There's that too.
Yes. Fear the man. Fear the
Hey,
man.
mate, you got a license for that freedom of thought?
You think we've got freedom of thought? That's adorable. We got women in charge. We're not allowed to think.
Oh,
I told you when free. But no,
I had to say that.
Let's say it goes tits up, MC. There is a blue wave. They're going to be able to mess with the president's agenda from that point forward. You will not see a wall, right?
well, you won't
You'll
see a
see
wall
impeachment.
I don't think you'll see impeachment.
They will try.
No.
And don't say they won't.
No, well, okay. If they could find anything that they honestly think is impeachment worthy, they'll do it. They're going to be goaded, all right, to do it. It would be a major mistake if they did, unless they had something serious to deal with. But that becomes the problem. Okay, you got people who have serious issues, all right, about going forward with it, because there's a lot that you have there's a lot you have to prove, and you're not going to sit up and come back and say, well, he said grab him by the pussy, and that's reason for impeachment.
That was a misquote, and you know it.
No, I understand that. I mean, it was taken out of context, that's for sure. But to say that the Democrats won't attempt to use that.
No, there was no taken out of context. There was a straight up misquote. He said they let you grab them by the pussy, not, oh, grab them by the pussy.
The word "grab them by the pussy" was there. Granted, I'm not arguing the point with you. I agree with what you're saying, but it's not necessarily a misquote per se. It's basically taken out of context, and this is what a lot of them do. For a lot of these things, one of the things that the Democrats or the leftists, especially, they
blow things out of proportion. They become moral.
Well, no, these new ones, right? The new leftists like Ocasio, right?
You mean
they
the
don't
socialists?
realize? Well, no, they're all socialists, right? See, people like Claire McCaskill, she's a socialist. Don't believe that she isn't as Marxist as Ocasio is. She doesn't talk like Ocasio because she knows she can't retain power by talking like Ocasio. But there's not one iota of difference when it comes to the policies they would like to see enacted between the two of them. The only difference is one of them realizes that America isn't some socialist dreamland, and one of them is pie in the sky. Oh, I know what America like. You have no idea what America's like.
Except both of them are fucking capitalists, and they enjoy the money that they got.
They're not capitalists. They're used to using the socialist ways of government to get themselves money. All right, just because they take money doesn't mean that they're capitalists. Just because they're willing to deal with money, this is what all socialists are like. They will claim, oh no, I deserve this money. I deserve this over here. And they will then use the levers of government to gain the system even more. Oh, they may traipse it around saying, well, see, there's this business here, and I get it from this business. But of course, what they're doing is they're rigging the system so that business, all right, has advantages over everything else using the government system. But it's not capitalism. There's no free competition there. They're rigging the game, just like Hillary did with the polls, just like Democrats would love to do in every single election, is to get rid of them or rig it to the point where you don't have to worry about what the outcome is. But when you talk about McCaskill, when you talk about Heitkamp, when you talk about all the rest of them, they don't give a rat's ass, okay, about guns or anything else. There's not an iota difference between any of them and Nancy Pelosi. And Nancy Pelosi is no different than Ocasio. And the idea that somehow, okay, well, they're not like that. There's conservative Democrats. Show me them. Let's talk about what they actually do. The closest you'll find is with people like Steny Hoyer, and then you take a look at what Steny Hoyer was actually do, is if it came down to they needed his vote, he would sacrifice every frickin' one of his principles, including his principle on abortion. Immediately, he would sacrifice his vote. And he did on a continuous basis. They would look at the game and say, well, I voted against it only when it was already secured that the Democrat Party line was going to push that policy through. Every other time, right down the line. Boom, boom, boom. All of them are like that. The ones that they for crying out loud, if you listen to these people, they'll tell you that freaking Gabby Giffords was a freaking conservative Democrat here from Arizona. No, she wasn't. She was in lockstep with freaking Nancy Pelosi almost 90% of the time. And the other 10%.
Call her what her real name is.
What, Gabby Giffords?
Oh, Skeletor.
Oh, Skeletor. Well, all the rest of the time, as long as the vote was already a foregone conclusion, would she sit up there and maybe vote a little bit conservative, different than Nancy, just because, well, we don't need your vote, so yeah, go ahead and protect yourself. That's the game they would play. And that's the game they've been playing. The problem has been for them, especially in the Senate, right, is recently they were forced, believe it or not, the Republicans actually won a political fight by forcing the Democrats to vote against Kavanaugh. Because then all of a sudden they were on the record. And in certain conservative states, that has caused major issues. Like Joe Manchin, all right, is having a major issue in his own state. He actually had to vote for Kavanaugh just to try and protect himself. Now, how this is all going to play out in the House, who knows? Nobody has any real good idea how this is going to play out in the House yet. The quest was to nationalize the elections for both sides. I do believe that the election became nationalized. What we don't know is whether or not that was helpful for the Republicans or helpful for the Democrats. Personally, I think it was more likely helpful for the Republicans because the major issue was immigration. And that's what a lot of people were talking about for a long period of time.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, talking about like ballot measures here in Oregon, we had a measure on the ballot. Should we require the local and state police to look into the immigration status of people when they pull them over or they're in the process of being arrested? I voted yes, and they were having a big publicity push, fucking a political commercial every fucking 10 minutes on it, pushing for no, thanks to the current governor, who made me vote Republican for the first time in fucking 8 years, because I don't fucking like her at all, and the Libertarian had no chance. So I actually fucking voted for the Republican running for governor for the first time in forever. So we'll see how the local races go as well. I'm really interested in a few of the propositions that were on the ballot this year, here in Oregon. I'm not sure, was there anything in Arizona or Michigan, respectively, that you guys actually cared about that was on the ballot this year?
In
The
Arizona,
just the legalization of marijuana, that was all that was coming up.
the big issue here in Arizona from a proposition standpoint was Proposition 127, which is the green energy initiative. All right, where basically by an artificial date 2030, like 80% of the power used in the state was supposed to come from quote unquote renewable energy.
Yeah, but in a state like Arizona, isn't that really easy to do with solar? I mean, you can't really do solar here in Oregon because, well, it rains 9 months of the year. But
The
Arizona,
problem with Arizona and every other state that you want to play games with solar is the cost of solar panels, number one, the efficiency of solar panels, number two, especially when it gets hot. All right, most people don't realize this, but if you get a temperature on those solar panels over 140 degrees, their output is shit. So heat is a major factor. It's great for to have sun, but when it gets hot outside, guess what? Solar panels aren't nearly as efficient as they are when the same amount of sunlight during temperatures are at 50 or 60 degrees.
Yeah, I know. And I was just thinking to myself, what if you found some way to cool the panel? Well, then you're using electricity to cool the panel to collect electricity. It's fucking dumb.
Well,
So yeah,
that is part of the issue. It may not be dumb. It may help, but you still run into that issue. And then the other thing still happens. It still gets night here. You don't have 24 hours of sunlight even here in Arizona. So what happens then?
Well, you need to come up with some way to store the power after it's collected, and our battery storage capabilities are not what they should be. It hasn't been advancing as fast as other technologies.
That has always been the issue. Storage of the electricity, storage of the power. And it comes down to that. It's storage of the power, where you can efficiently recover the power. That's why people are trying to go to this idea of saying, okay, the excess energy will be shunted into melting salt and having certain salt reactors, all right, not reactors, but certain salt plants where they use that as the medium to store the heat, all right, in big tanks that they then during the nighttime will then utilize that to generate the steam and generate electricity. But doing that is not efficient. They haven't been able to come up with even the solar panel efficiency doing that. And what you're doing then is you're losing power again from the solar panel efficiency, and you're adding the next loss to the heating of the salt. So these things aren't ready to go yet. So, that kind of energy, this kind of idea that the sun power is going to be enough, is just nonsensical. All right, so yeah. What they asked, they did the same thing in California. They passed this freaking law, and of course, their electricity rates are going up by 3 times the rate that it is around the country. So it's a huge issue here, and surprisingly, all right, the Native American tribes that have tremendous amounts of power, tremendous amounts of land out here, and can be quite important because they make up a significant portion of the population. They've all come out against it as well.
Oh, that is surprising. Why? Why did they come out against it? For the same reason you are?
Because you start raising the rates of electricity, and who gets hurt? The poor.
Yeah, right? But you would think the native population would be big on green energy.
Okay, so what are you going to do? Take their land and sit up there and put solar panels on it?
Very good point.
All right. I have laughed at these people.
I was just going to say, Captain Coalpile said a little bit ago in the chat, he just got done voting, and he voted pure Nazi. Way to go, Captain. Way to go. Make America great again. God damn it. Go ahead, MC. I cut you off there. I just wanted to read that off before I forgot it.
I was reading an article by, quote-unquote, the smartest woman on the planet. She supposedly has a 170 IQ. She does a column for one of these major outlets, either New York Times or one of them. She's a what do you call them, columnist? I can't think of it, where she appears in many different papers. I can't think of the term for it right now. Columnist, and she was talking how, oh no, you could meet all the power needs of the earth by just sitting up there taking solar and utilizing it. I was like, okay, if you take all those panels and you put them around the earth, how much sunlight is hitting the earth? What's happening to the plants? Because you got to sit up there and get in the way of the plants. Well, you got a desert. Okay, so you put these huge freaking solar panels blocking out the sun to hit the ground. All right, and you're going to convert it to electricity. What about the plants underneath it that need that kind of power? What's that going to do to it? All right, what's going to be the effect of that much solar power being blocked? All right, or that much solar energy being blocked? All right, to be generated into electricity. There is a cost to this, folks. It isn't just free.
Yeah, but my idea would be you put them on the roof of the house. You have the homeowner get a discount through the tax code for it. That way, also, when you generate the power, if you generate more than you use, then it gets fed back to the power company, and you actually get a discount on your bill because you're feeding them power into the grid. So I think something like that could happen. I'm not saying do the windmill thing and create whole acres of solar panels. That I never have advocated for that. But maybe attaching them to your roof and giving a tax break to the person that buys them.
So basically, it isn't cheap enough that the owners would want to do it themselves. So we got to sit there and pay for it from the federal government.
I don't want taxes anyway. So anything to lower taxes is good for me. And why not?
All that does. How does that fix anything? You're basically subsidizing with federal funds the solar industry.
Yeah, but you're also lowering the tax amount that the individual is paying, and they're in their own house.
That individual, all right, gets a benefit. But what about everyone else? Since you're dealing with the government subsidies, like everything else, when you create this government subsidies, it becomes more expensive for everyone else. So you're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Fair enough. Very
benefit.
Yeah. And I think Arizona is kind of it kind of sucks because you guys don't have the situation Oregon does, where we have a lot of hydroelectric, which the water keeps flowing, the rivers keep flowing. So we have a constant turnabout of energy from the hydroelectric sector, where Arizona, not so much.
Right. No, well, we don't have major rivers flowing through there, with the exception of the Colorado, which is on the very northern end. All right.
Which is why I said not so much, because I did remember the Colorado River goes through Arizona, but yeah.
Well, it kind of touches Arizona more than anything else. It doesn't really flow through. No, we don't have large bodies of water for geothermal, and there are, believe it or not, there is a lot of solar out here in comparison. Right, because people want to put it on their houses. They want to put it in their areas. Okay, and there are subsidies. Believe it or not, the government already does pay. All right, for putting solar panels on your roof if you so desire. But the other problem, of course, with that is here's the government subsidizing solar. Now the electricity companies, all right, are being forced to sit up there and fit that bill. They basically pass it on to the consumer. So as a result, there's an increase in the amount of cost for electricity outside of those days. And of course, here in Arizona, most days are sunny. All right, that's great. But there are days when it's cloudy, and of course at night, the power goes out. So, and also, like I was saying, when it gets 110, 120 out here, and you have the solar panel out there, when the whole solar panel itself is going to absorb energy and heat, because solar panels, what most people don't realize is there's not all the light hitting a solar panel is converted into electricity. All right, only certain frequencies get turned into electricity. Right, it's just the dynamics of how they are. They've been getting better at it to get a larger amount of the spectrum, yes, but for the most part, you're still dealing with only a small percentage of the light that's hitting the panel being converted into electricity. I think at this point in time, you're only looking at things around 40% or so, and that's at the high end. Those are the high end, right? Those panels are horribly expensive because of the cost and everything. So we're nowhere even close to being able to do that. And so where's the rest of that energy go that hits that solar panel? Well, if you notice, those solar panels tend to be either dark blue or black. Black is a great collector of heat energy. And at which point, within just a few minutes, those panels themselves can heat up, and on a day when it's 110 outside, those solar panels will get up to 140, 150. Some of them have even gotten so hot they actually melt the solder that's holding the leads on. Right? So you can't trust this stuff. It's not as efficient. It's not as user ready. Solar is not as user ready as these advocates want you to think they are. It's not.
Yeah, I know, and I'm looking at the chat. What's up, Doku? How you doing, buddy? There's only 3 of us on the panel right now. The link is in the general chat and Discord if anybody would like to jump in. Unholy Mole says, Mad Dog Productions promotes Hollow Earth, Mad for President 2020. Yes, make the Hollow Earth great again. Make the Hollow Earth great again. Vote Mad Dog 2020. Now, let's take a look over at Politico. I'm sure it's updated a couple times. Republicans won one race in the House, it looks like so far. So there's that. I'm not sure which state. Let's see if I can click on it. Yeah, one race called so far.
So the polls are just beginning to close. All right. I mean, and the other thing to remember is obviously in areas like New York, New Jersey, right, Oklahoma, Texas, Kansas, right. The makeup are so totally different from one another. To know how this is going to affect the race overall, you're going to have to take over half the country already has to have voted before you're going to be able to tell you whether or not there's any kind of major movement going on. Like I said, some early indications would be just how fast they call Menendez's seat in the Senate.
I'm really curious to see how the Kentucky race goes. I believe Rand Paul is up for re-election, and he's the one person I don't want to see kicked out of the Senate, out of everybody.
What's he accomplished?
I believe he has at least shown a lot of light on quite a few issues, and the fact that he has the balls to filibuster when no one else will say a goddamn word, and he has passed everything.
Well, let's see him really filibuster then, and not just sit up there and look, I filibustered for 4 hours.
He went fucking 16 hours on the drone strikes.
Oh my!
Him, Ron Wyden out of Oregon, and a few other people helped him out. Thomas Massey, I believe he might be in the House. Actually, it might be somebody else.
If we do get a blue wave, we're going to have some blue tampons. Joshua.
Oh god damn it! What's up, Doku? We're just waiting for the results to come in, buddy. So if you got a story you want to talk about or a topic, go for it.
Well, shit. Apparently, Project Veritas just recently released a video about how they're letting illegal immigrants vote in Texas. I think it was Travis County, I want to say. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, you're going to hear these stories.
I mean, I don't know how much credibility there is to it, but it's something I just recently heard.
I haven't heard that from Veritas. It would be interesting to see what that is. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, and it seems to me Project Veritas has been wholly accurate. Everything they've shown, and they've leaked out through those fucking hidden cameras and shit has been accurate, has it not? I don't think they've ever been caught lying.
No, they
not
haven't.
To my knowledge.
Oh, this is just an election official saying, yeah, we've got tons of them in an undercover video.
No, is that what it is?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just heard it in passing, honestly. So, I don't know.
Well,
It's just something I figured I'd bring up.
That's one of the things that I don't think I think people really don't believe. They don't want to believe just how many people are voting illegally in this country. When you have literally people saying, I can prove that there's hundreds of thousands of illegal voters or illegals or ineligible voters, I should say, is the best way to put it, on the rolls in Pennsylvania, 100,000, and you've got to sue the state to try and get the information because they refuse to give you the information, and then it gets tied up in the court. There's a problem there. Because you know very well as if there wasn't an issue there, they would have immediately released that data. So
that's the thing. Anytime there's an accusation and you hear any kind of elected official, judicial, executive, legislative, be quiet about it, then you know there's a problem.
Exactly. And you've got the same thing happening in California. Well, which is what I did this. They had to admit that at least 1,500, and the word is at least, 1,500 went out to non-citizens. And then they try to say, well, but it was to no undocumented workers. How can you make that assessment in California, seeing as the entire state has been ordered never to ask whether or not your status is legal or not? So the question starts coming in there. Well, then who's making all of these claims? And in fact, that was only outed, all right, when somebody received one of these pre-checked, yes, I'm a citizen boxes, right, and then reported it. And then they had to do something about it. But this had apparently been going on for over 6 months. And then they came back and said, well, but we only believe that 1,500, went to non-citizens. You're full of frickin' crap.
Well, also when you think about it, it's really fucked up if you're trying to do that. If you're sending out a pre-checked, I am 18, I am a U.S. citizen, be it a sample ballot or an actual ballot to somebody with the full knowledge that they're not, how quickly do you think they would throw these people under the bus? Because, that's in most states, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a felony.
Well,
that's kind of a fucked up thing to do.
And of course, did anybody go to jail for it? No. Well, it was just a mistake. It was just an error. That's a pretty significant error in just one county for this to have happened in. And when you start multiplying that, not just the this one county, but across that entire state, and then add to the fact that this was only for this for between April and September, right, of this year, and how many years have they been doing this crap? Okay. You know as well as I do, if they actually did a scrub of the voter rolls in California, you would get at least tens of thousands. And my supposition is you'd probably get 1 million people, close to 1 million people are registered to vote illegally.
Well, here's my problem. Everybody freaks out over voter ID laws. Even in fucking left-wing hippie town fucking Oregon, we have to write our fucking ID number down and prove that we're an Oregon resident to fucking vote. And we vote by motherfucking mail, dude. Like, we don't even go to the polls. We get our fucking
And how many of those people
early.
are getting that ballot and actually live in Florida?
I don't know. I mean, I know
That's right. You don't know. Nobody in that state knows.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I know I'm not lying. I provide my identification, and I live where I say I live.
You do.
I can only speak for myself. So, yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about. The only thing I was trying to point out there is how easy it is to game that system. And the reason I bring it up is because they found that was really going on heavily, not just not in Oregon, but actually in New York, where literally thousands of people were voting in New York and voting in Florida at the same time.
I mean, shit, here's the thing that irritates me about, people like, oh, voter ID laws are, insert buzzword here. I just voted today. I can guarantee you. I walked in, provided a driver's license. They ran it through, literally, woman sitting there at the fold-out table, looked at it, entered my name, asked me my address, asked me to repeat my name and address, handed me back my ID, gave me a card so I can go get my ballot. And yes, I used paper ballots because fuck the electronic voting machines. I was in and out in fucking less than 10 minutes. You're telling me that, oh, because of you're black, you're brown, your skin is yellow, you're a specific ethnicity, You don't have the time to go to the fucking DMV and register yourself. And no, bullshit. Get the fuck out of here with that argument. It is complete and utter nonsense. The only reason anybody would perpetuate such an argument is because there's likely voter fraud going on in your state. It is nonsense. Like, that whole argument is fucking bullshit.
Well, of course it is, because they want to have the excuse to say, well, you can't do this, so we want to continue the corruption. Oh no, this is voter suppression. This is voter suppression. And like it or not, people in certain demographics, right, are very susceptible to that lie. They're very susceptible to believing it because of the historical nature of this.
It's also probably because they're not aware of the fucking laws. I mean, that was kind of one of the big issues when people were receiving these pre-checked ballots, is they were confused. They were like, well, wait a second, am I legally allowed to vote or not? They're not aware. And that's not to be a dick, but
I think that's just ridiculous. I think almost all, if you're an illegal alien or you're an alien, a non-citizen in the United States, and you think that you should be allowed to vote, you know better. You friggin' know better.
Well, I would argue that you would likely suspect as much, but let's be honest. I used to live in Texas. I've lived in areas where there's a high amount of illegal immigration, so to speak, and not just from Hispanic communities, but take your pick. Throw a dart at the dartboard, like put a world map up, throw a dart somewhere, take your pick. A lot of people are not aware of the laws. Like, they think like, wait, I can't vote, and if I try to vote and I'm not a legal citizen, that's a crime. Like, they just don't know it. I mean, shit, 30% of them don't even fucking speak English. Like, it would not be shocking, at least for me, to operate under the assumption that a majority of these individuals who received, pre-checked ballots in the mail would be operating under the assumption that somehow something changed, because they're detached. They don't fucking pay attention. They're too busy doing other shit. They just simply wouldn't know. They're easy to manipulate.
Real quick, we're getting a little bit of results in Kentucky 6th congressional district. Only 1% in. I know that's small, but it's something. Andy Barr is leading 51.9% to 47.3. That's all we have in right now. So not much at all. Yeah. Like I'm trying here, guys. I feel like CNN. I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
No, you're not gonna. We're not gonna know what's really going on, on this stuff for a while. Like I said, in a couple hours, maybe we'll start to hear some decent results on areas in the East Coast. On the West Coast, obviously the polls are still open. In the Midwest, polls are still going to be open. Right? In Florida, part of the Panhandle of Florida is on a different time zone, and so they can't report results in those areas until.
Is that why Florida's always a fucking bitch when it comes to elections? Like, I fucking hate that shit for the president.
I think the problem with Florida has to do with the fluidity of the population. A lot of people are going there. A lot of people are leaving there. So the population tends to be in flux. A lot of older people come in. A lot of younger people leave. All right. So you never know from one to the next who's going to be more dominant, and issues become dominant at that point. Now, one of the issues that's very dominant in Florida, believe it or not, still and remains, is Social Security and protection of Social Security. Right? Because people, one of the most active voting groups, of course, are older people. They're like on Social Security, and they don't want their Social Security messed with. Right? So if they can convince people, that older demographic, that your Social Security is in danger if the Republicans are going to go for it, which the GOP has to deal with every single time in Florida. If they can convince them that the Democrats can convince them that that it's a danger, right? you see Democrats immediately vote in. And the converse is true as well. If the people don't believe the Democrats, then other issues begin to dominate. Now, a lot of people are talking about, well, why aren't they talking about the great economy and how wonderful the economy is? How come no one's talking about the economy? Well, because quite frankly, there's no need to talk about the economy. Would it be a good thing to talk about the economy if you were a Republican? Yes, if and only if you were on the Trump train at the very beginning trying to quote unquote help him and getting these tax cuts. If you were one of these Johnny come lately and you're worried about those tax cuts in these areas, then you weren't going to talk about it because you don't necessarily want to be tied to Trump. So, and that's on the Republican side. On the Democrat side, you don't want to talk about the economy at all because they're going to say, "Well, what are you going to do for the economy?" Well, I'm going to interfere with it. I mean, what are you supposed to say about it?
Yeah, I'm trying to stop everything good. Yeah.
I mean, see, and you don't want anyone talking about the economy because, okay, well, then it goes to Trump. And if you're saying things like, well, Trump is a bigot, he's a sexist, he's a homophobe, all right, and then you say, yeah, but he did a good economy, and you got to call that, you got to make a play for it. Well, wait a minute here, you don't want to bring it up. That's why no one is bringing up the economy. That's why no one wanted on either side really wanted to bring up the economy. Will it have an effect in this election? I'll be honest with you. I doubt the economy is really on people's minds too much. It's going to turn on whether or not people think that healthcare is really under threat, right? Or whether or not immigration on either side of the issue is important and how that comes down. I really believe those are going to be the two big significant issues. The other aspect, of course, is all right, turnout. And what I mean by turnout is the Republican, all right, from what I can see so far, the core base of the Democrats and the core base of the Republicans are turning out. All right? So the question is the weak ends of those bases, how do they go? How do they fall in? Do they turn out in droves for their party or do they cross party? What do the independents do? Do they turn out in droves or do they choose or just stay at home? And if they don't stay at home, if they turn out in droves, who do they vote for? All right. I saw one statistic where they were saying that 17% higher turnout amongst independents for Republicans. I personally don't believe that. Okay. I personally believe it's probably closer to 5 or 6%. But could that turn a race in some of these districts? Yeah. So we honestly don't know.
Hey.
Take the lid off. We don't need to be talking to that freaking cabbage. Oh, well, Jensen's here too. Never mind. You can
Bite
stay.
me. Bite me.
Yeah, I guess we're letting the limeys in. God damn it! Like, didn't somebody put up the
Fuckers.
Jensen started off on one of my streams today asking if who wants America to vote to return to the British Empire.
Well, indeed. Very good question.
Well, there's two questions about that. None of us want to go back to the British Empire, and I'm not sure you guys really want us in the British Empire anyway anymore.
True. No.
Yeah, give them California. They'll like it.
Exactly. That's the bit we don't. But that's the bit we don't want.
That's like saying, okay, we'll give them part of France.
Oh.
I don't even wish that on the Mexicans. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
No, but okay. Well, when it comes to like the economy, yeah, if you were somebody like Lindsey Graham, who was a never Trumper and just jumped on board here recently, what? How recent? The Kavanaugh hearing. Lindsey Graham finally changed his fucking tune. Yeah, you don't necessarily want to talk about Trump because you're going to have even people in your own party go, wait a minute, buddy. Didn't you hate this fucker?
Oh, shit. Speaking of Kavanaugh, did you hear that the chick that claimed that there was the back seat, rape thing or whatever, basically said, like, yeah, no, she made the whole thing up?
Yeah, that was amazing. And nothing's happened to her. I mean, why aren't they going after her for false accusations? I mean, surely it's illegal to make those sort of claims. I mean, there's a
technically
case.
It would be defamation. That's a damn good question.
Well, okay, but it's very difficult on a public figure in the United States to get defamation.
Well, no, I'm
Especially
just
because
thinking
you have
about.
to prove harm, and whether you like it or not, he would have had a better chance of going after her. All right, if he didn't make it to the Supreme Court, than the fact that he did, because now it's going to be much harder to prove that he was really harmed in any way.
That is a valid point, but at the same time, he still had to sit through those hearings, and
it was horrible.
He's clearly under emotional distress. So, yeah, it might be difficult to prove, but I think there is definitely a solid case there, especially considering this is now the second person that has openly come out and said, yeah, they basically made it up.
But also, surely, how much time, I mean, how much money has it cost the government for these false claims? I mean, they had to go, convene hearings and things like that. I mean, what is the cost of this? I don't, I'm not just necessarily talking about, a case that Kavanaugh can bring against them. I just mean about the wasting of police time, the wasting of government time. I mean, all of this other stuff that they should, surely there should be some.
They lied to Congress under oath. That's perjury. They should be arrested.
It depends on their testimony wasn't necessarily under oath. Is what people don't realize.
Well, and also, I'm a taxpayer. My tax dollars went to that FBI investigation. Can I claim harm? Is this worthy of a class action lawsuit? I don't know. Just throwing that out there.
It would be an interesting case to see how far it would go. I'm sure you could find one of the slip and fall lawyers. I mean, I hear Avenatti's free.
Not about free. I think he's pretty expensive, but yeah, he's available.
Hey, you know what? Maybe it'll be a case Avenatti actually wins for once.
Yeah, he'll be defending himself in the same period, though, won't he?
He might be going to jail soon anyway. He's got several charges pending on his hands as well.
Speaking of public figures in jail, whatever happened to fucking Vlogovich or whatever the fuck his name was? Is he still in prison?
Yeah, I think didn't he get a 5-year term?
I thought so, yeah.
Blagojevich from Illinois?
Yeah. Blagojevich.
America's turning into a banana republic the way it's going.
Well, Illinois has always been a banana republic. I can't tell you how many times their governor has gone to jail for corruption. And I'm not exaggerating. Look it up. They have a number of their people go to jail a lot. But I don't know. Let me look up Rob.
Chicago school, isn't it? It's a Chicago school.
Well, Louisiana had a lot of corruption back in the day. They're a little bit better nowadays, but they were pretty bad back in the day. Like the 30s, 40s. A lot of corruption, especially up at the governorship and stuff like that. But let me check. Let's see if there's any more results rolling in. While I do that, you hung over after bonfire night, Cabby?
Oh god, yeah, it was a good night though. It was fun.
But yeah, I woke up, needed some water and a fucking Tylenol, huh?
Actually, no, because I always go to sleep with, after I've had about a pint and a half of water or something like that. So I don't tend to get the hangovers, thank God. I do what do they call it? Pre-medicine, preventative medicine. But I was feeling very lethargic this morning.
Yeah, I got woken up by my wife and the twins. Freaking, they wouldn't let me go back to sleep either. I tried rolling over and just ignoring them. It didn't work. Women and children are evil. I don't know why we let them off the sinking boat first. I don't get it. Anyway.
Oh, I was wrong. He got a 14-year sentence.
No shit. Ouch. You'll get out in 4.5 on good behavior, I'm sure, but ouch. 14.
Yeah. So he's still in jail.
That was for selling Obama's seat, right? His Senate seat?
For a lot of corruption, but yeah, they actually threw out five of his accounts on appeal. The Seventh Circuit did, but they upheld the rest of them. They upheld the sentence, so he's still in jail. And on April 16th, 2018, the U.S. Supreme Court refused to hear his appeal for the second time in 2 years. So, yeah, he's still in jail.
That poor fucker. Sorry.
Really got
On
it
May
in for him, haven't
31st, in 2018, President Donald Trump, soon after he pardoned Dinesh D'Souza, which I did not know that Dinesh D'Souza had been pardoned.
we? Yeah, I didn't know that. What did he have to be pardoned for?
Well, he got put in jail, all right, for the same thing, giving too much money to a campaign.
Contribution questions.
And he was sentenced, and believe it or not, it was a federal case, and he lost his right to vote. So if he was pardoned by Trump, he now gets all those rights restored. So there's a huge issue about pardoning. All right.
If I was Andrew Gillum, I might be sweating a little bit knowing that.
Well, he's also thinking about pardoning Blagojevich, and also, believe it or not, Martha Stewart.
Interesting.
Oh yes, Martha Stewart, of course. Yeah.
Oh, hey, did you guys see the picture I sent in the Discord?
No, I haven't. Real quick, we got 5.6% of precincts reporting out of the Kentucky 6th congressional district. And Amy McGrath, the Democrat, has taken a slight lead. 13,158 votes to 12,595. That's 50.5% to 48.4%. Barr is slipping back a little bit. Didn't you say the election might swing on Kentucky here, where that might be an early indication?
No, I was thinking not Kentucky. I was thinking more along the lines of New Jersey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Kentucky's the only one I'm getting results for thus far.
Say, hey, Mad Dodge, you might get a laugh out of this. Normally, I would never support this company, but this was just too good to pass up, and we need to get 4chan on this. So, from Starbucks, snowflake marshmallows.
Oh,
I'm not joking. I think it's in the political channel on the Discord. But yes, Starbucks is selling snowflake marshmallows.
Oh God, yeah. Well, Starbucks and what was it? What's the other one? Ben and Jerry's.
Oh, not surprising.
Oh,
it looks
God.
like Bernie Sanders and Tim Kaine have won re-election.
Tim Kaine's Virginia, I believe, right?
Yes.
Not fucking Bernie Sanders. No.
The thing is, Tim Kaine, as far as Democrats go, though, is actually rather moderate. So, meh. Comstock is the one in Virginia. Comstock's the one that you want to be paying attention to. Tim Kaine is not nearly as bad as a lot. He's not a Maxine Waters or a Feinstein or a Schumer or a Pelosi. Tim Kaine is actually one of the few Democrats that I actually don't mind, and I hate to say that.
I'm telling you guys right now, if Kate Brown if she wins re-election for governor of Oregon, I'm busting out the whiskey. I do not want her as governor again. I even voted Republican this time. Damn it!
I bet if she doesn't win, he'll still bust out the whiskey.
Yeah.
Celebration. It's not me being upset.
I'm just joking. Calm down.
It's a different mood.
You guys
The
brought
difference
up the
between
most
a
corrupt
sad drunk
state
and a
in the
happy
nation,
drunk.
you know, and I live in it, so I thought I'd jump in. Good old Illinois, the only state where the last 3 out of 5 governors are in prison.
Are they all in the same cell block? That'd be amazing.
I doubt they're even in the same fucking prison.
Tiger Son, I don't know if Tim Kaine has been accused of sexual harassment yet, but considering the fact that he's not exactly on board with the progressives, give it some time.
Yeah, Tigerson, how you doing, brother? I hope you enjoyed Bonfire Night. We had a pretty good stream about it. Too bad you weren't around. Hint, hint, come around a little bit more, you fucking tiger bastard. Anyway, Well, I gotta pad some time here, guys. Like we're waiting on results.
Insulting your audience is never a good way to set up to increase your viability.
Even one of my only 3 Patreons. I should probably shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I don't think that's not a recipe for continuing support. I could be wrong about that.
Captain Coalpile, if you're gonna go with he fondled my balls, you don't use hashtag me too. You use hashtag Tim too.
Well, no, and Tigerson knows I'm joking, but he also says Tim Kaine. I'm guessing he's asking a question. Has Tim Kaine been accused of sexual harassment yet? So I don't think so. Give it time.
Not yet. There we go.
I'll get around to everyone at once.
Yeah, don't everybody talk at once. But no, speaking of Illinois, I don't know. Did you go out and vote, Mole?
I did indeed, sir.
So, any interesting state measures on the ballot that you want to bring up? Because obviously, nobody can know every fucking measure in every state. I talked about a couple out of Oregon. MC brought up one that bugged him out of Arizona.
I was a little bit bugged by how many people were running unopposed. That kind of bothered me a little bit. Because, I mean, that's not very democratic, is it? I mean, if no one runs against, at least someone try to run against them, and I wasn't really, our governors aren't really, I mean, neither choice was a very good choice, Bruce Rauner or J.B. Pritzker, but J.B. Pritzker does want to legalize marijuana, so kind of swayed me there. But other than that, not really. I mean, like, and you know how they ask you why do they ask you what your political affiliation is? That's none of their business.
I don't know. When I registered to vote, I registered Libertarian. So they usually ask you at the voter registration point.
Yeah, I told them. I told them I have no political affiliations. So
actually, that's a really good point you brought up, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
You're all right, man.
Didn't mean to be rude, but I just want to say, because this is the only time you'll ever hear me say this. As much as I despise Michael Moore, he has done one thing that I actually applaud. And this was, I think, like a decade or...
Die?
Well, that'll be the second thing I applaud. But no, this was about a decade ago, where there was no one running against the incumbent. I believe this was in Massachusetts. So just as kind of a joke, he ran a ficus tree in opposition to the incumbent. I
remember that.
That's the one thing that frickin' jackoff has done where I'm like, you know what? I actually will agree with you on this one because you should at least have a choice. But also, by the way, Michael Moore, you're an idiot because there is such a thing called a write-in.
Yeah, I know. I know. There was a couple offices with nobody running at all, and I really should have wrote myself in, and then told my wife I wrote myself in because she probably would have wrote me in too. I could be Lane County Commissioner after today. Damn it!
I mean, don't you think that there should almost automatically be someone you have to run against? You shouldn't be able to go unopposed. I really don't think you should.
I tend to agree with you. Captain Coalpile says there's a state constitutional amendment where he's at, which I don't believe he'll be upset for me saying it because he said it before, but he's over in West Virginia to stop public funding of abortion. That's really interesting because that's something I was talking about out of Oregon. Is we have the same thing up for a vote, and I voted yes on it to stop public funding of abortion, pretty much to cut off the money supply to Planned Parenthood. So we'll see if it passes. I mean, Oregon is crazy blue. Look at Portland. I doubt it's going to pass.
Honestly, I don't support public funding of abortions. Like, you know what? If you want to get one, I don't agree with it. I'm not going to tell you what you can or can't do, but I'm sure as hell not paying tax. Yeah, I'm not paying tax dollars to go for it. Like, I'm sorry, that I'm completely against.
Fair enough.
Right? I'm not paying for it. I'm not going to tell you you can't.
I'm one of them weird atheists that's not actually for. I'm not a big fan of abortion or the death penalty, and a lot of atheists seem to think that they're both okay. I don't feel the same. I think a life is a life, regardless, no matter where it came from or where it's going. It doesn't matter. A life is a life.
I tend to agree with you more.
I don't know. I don't know.
Now on the death penalty on certain cases, I don't think I might feel differently about it. Like if they're a fucking crazy sex killer that's killed 35 women or hurt a lot of children, shit like that, that's a little different. But
What
I
if
mean,
you're
just like
what if you're just like Hillary Clinton, and doesn't that deserve the death penalty too?
well, that's not for me to say, but I wouldn't shed a tear if she died. Let's put it that way.
Can we cast a secret ballot on that one? Just curious.
I don't know if you want to cast a secret ballot on that one. You'll wind up in the likes of Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah,
right.
Or Anne Frank.
And Frank.
I don't know. I don't know. Anne Frank might have had the better deal.
I don't have an addict. Fuck. I'm screwed.
You don't have an addict or an addict?
Oh, ha, ha, ha. I see what you did. But man, Bernie Sanders won. Fucking hell! I'm taking another drink of beer.
Why would you expect Bernie Sanders not to win?
Because he's a fucking moron, and anybody that voted for him needs to be fucking taken out back of the tool shed and shot.
Don't hold back, dude. Say how you feel. Come on.
Wait a minute. I'm anti-death penalty. Fuck. Fuck it. Kill him anyway. I'm done. I got it.
Nah, don't worry. Give it a few years. He's old anyways.
I'm not sure I've had a very good impact on you. My influence on you seems to be taking you to a real dark and an authoritarian place.
Yeah, I'm kind of turning into the mad dictator. Yeah.
Actually, Mad Dog, don't even worry. If Hillary decides to run again in 2020 and Bernie Sanders decides to run against her, he'll meet a timely end soon enough.
Oh, Bernie Sanders can't run again now anyway.
Oh yeah, he's not even a registered Democrat anymore.
Yeah. The Democrats changed the rules. They won't allow him to run for them. He'd have to do it independent. I
wonder why.
That Norwegian guy's in the chat. I don't remember seeing you before, dude. Welcome
sir.
He says Bernie is popular among both Republican and Democratic voters. I don't think he's popular amongst Republicans. Now you might be right when it comes to Democrat voters and independents.
No, well, in Vermont, it's very possible. You got to remember, Vermont is where it's a deep blue state. They have really different views of things. Their economy is, for all intents and purposes, their economy is based strictly on tourism more than anything else. And so they're a tourist economy. It's not your average. Well, I don't know if you really say this, but it's not what you would normally see across the United States from an average economy. It's not really a rural economy, but it's not an industrial economy either, because it is a tourist economy. That's where the majority of the money comes from. Is some kind of tourism industry or service industry that caters to tourism. And so within that state, and this is the thing about what we're taking a look at now. I know a lot of people, and even I've talked about how this election has been national, but the reality is, in a midterm election, the most important thing still remains whether or not the people in the local areas is that an important issue. Now, granted, there are certain national issues that I think became important across the nation overall. Is that going to hold true of every district? No. And what's more is in the districts that are flipping or possibly could flip, is that true? No way of knowing.
You know, when you bring up the tourism argument, is it just me, or is China really skipping out on a great tourism opportunity for that gigantic wall they have on their northern border?
I mean,
Asking for a friend.
if China, or Canada.
Canada.
China's
a wall to the
Great
north.
Wall
What
of
would
China.
they be protecting? Canada.
The Great Wall of China isn't really on their northern border. It's along the
Eskimo
Mongolian
wall.
border and further down. So, but no, they do have a lot of tourism. They have a possibility of gaining a lot of tourism. People want to see the Great Wall of China. I would like to one day see the Great Wall of China. I won't probably in my lifetime, unfortunately.
I wouldn't mind taking the opportunity to see it as well. I mean, hell, it's one hell of an impressive piece of architecture. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, but most of it's actually been rebuilt. Like in recent periods, it's there's not much of the because when the Mongol Empire fell and everything, a lot of it. Same thing with Hadrian's Wall. A lot of it got stolen. To build houses and farm.
Right. They used
things
it
like
for
that.
Repurposed it.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that you see now of the wall, it's actually it's modern.
They've done that with a lot of ancient buildings all over the world, haven't they? Like used old, buildings or bricks from old buildings.
That's what happened in the Colosseum in Rome as well. That Norwegian guy says he's a moderate that swings left. We are pretty open-minded around here. I'm a libertarian. MC's a crazy Republican that isn't even registered Republican. I don't know how that works. But yeah, he'll shoot you if you walk on his grass.
I'm a conservative.
Conservative that I don't even get it, MC. I don't even know if you want to say it again, so I'm going to leave it alone.
Conservative. That's where my allegiance lie. Conservative.
Okay, but we also will have moderates here like Memes. He's not around tonight, but he tends to be a fence sitter as well.
Is that what I am to you, buddy? Am I a fence sitter?
No, I think I think while MC is making me a dictator, I'm making you more libertarian. I don't know how this is working.
Norwegian guy says he also hates Starbucks and Apple, so that automatically disqualifies him from being a hipster. I don't know, Norwegian. Can I send you these Starbucks snowflake marshmallows?
Oh my God! Speak of the devil. Here's our fence sitter now. Are you sitting and spinning?
Hey! I may or may not resemble that statement. I cannot speak of that, but I can agree that I believe we could do very well riding a purple wave.
I can get behind a purple wave. I don't know what that means, but it's got to be better than the blue or the red.
Well, all I know is I voted for both Democrats. I voted for Republicans, and actually, MD, I actually voted for a Libertarian. Believe it or not, you gotta start somewhere, as well as an independent, at least.
Gotta raise the vote somewhere, yeah.
What I think that something has to happen in this nation. There's too much divisiveness between us as a nation, and we need to remember we're Americans first. We need to get behind that. We're Americans first.
Mole, guess what?
Sir.
I think we're the more quiet majority.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're the quiet majority that
also...
says, yeah, we need to be Americans, but when the people are screaming in the streets how they hate America, where are you?
If I'm around, I'm probably...
I'm on YouTube complaining, probably.
Well, you are. Mole, I trust you. I don't trust Memes. Memes
well,
down the river.
Well, the last time a guy came up to protest the quote-unquote Nazis of, I guess he considered me one of said quote-unquote Nazis, I was very polite to him. So maybe I gave him some little cognitive dissonance.
And I said I voted for Ted Kennedy. He's a hero of mine.
Hey, the man appreciated a good clam chowder from Red Lobster. So.
Memes, my favorite nor'easter.
It's all right. Hey, these things happen. So no, I voted for the folks I thought were going to do a good job. I don't care what the hell their party is.
I don't care what anybody says. Memes is wicked cool.
He's Ra's al Ghul. Is that what you said?
No, he's not Ralph.
I will take that as a compliment.
I would be so cool to be Ralph al Ghul, wouldn't it? The leader of a fucking.
Well, real quick,
I'd say more like Tim Pool.
real quick, that Norwegian guy, Tiger Lily's gonna go ahead and throw the hangout in the chat, and you can go ahead and click it. Yeah, like I said before, we're just waiting on results, guys. So it's gonna be some friendly banter as we wait on the results to start rolling in. Matter of fact, you guys go ahead and continue, and I'll check and see if we have any updates.
Oh, there really is the Norwegian guy. I thought you were just making a generalization.
No, and it's 4:20, so I'm gonna load a bowl. But yeah.
Right on.
So when do you actually get all the final results, though? I mean, how many hours will it be?
Well, these are results across the country, so you're
That's
not
what I
going to
mean.
get results for the West Coast in some areas until way in the East Coast. So, like,
Polls generally close usually around like 7-ish, depending on the county and stuff.
7 or 8.
And yeah, they just
close.
they just closed on the East Coast here, so you still got a couple more hours. They got to tally the votes and stuff. And actually, I spoke with a gentleman up in Manchester today. He used to work for the local polling in the area. And we were saying, well, I feel like some folks were saying, my vote's wasted. I don't want to vote for like any of these major politicians. And I said, just vote right in Mickey Mouse. And he looked at me and he glared. He's like, every vote is counted. He's like, when folks used to do that, when I worked the polls, we had to go through 5 pieces of paperwork every single time. And I'm like, now I know.
Real quick, once again, Kentucky, the 6th congressional district is a toss-up. You got Barr back on top with 49.7%. Amy McGrath is at 49.1 with just under 20% of the votes counted. It is going back and forth. You got Virginia, the 7th congressional district. Dave Bratt. Bratt's his last name. That's hilarious. There's only 0.4 of the precincts reporting, so that's hardly anything. But he's at 73.8%. He's wiping the floor with this Abigail Spineberger. What the fuck is going on here?
Spineberger? What the fuck is that? That's like
my pronunciations were horrible.
Spanberger? No, it's Spanberger. It's fucking Spanberger, motherfucker. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Hey, guys. Here's something interesting. Hey, what's up, Norwegian guy?
Hey, man, I just wanted to say hi. I just want to say that I've been looking at these races coming in, and this is going to be one of those all-nighter elections where it's going to go, like you said, back and forth. It's because every single race, the big key races, are all too close to call. It's going to be one of those wait long as we possibly can before we have a result.
Oh my God, Norwegian guy! I must interject real quick there. That is the most terrifying Mike Pence I've ever seen performing the afternoon tiger.
Yeah. Oh no! I adore Mike Pence. I have a fucking altar built to that man. I adore that man. He's going to be the next president if I have anything to say about it.
Are you kidding me?
But no, here's something interesting. I just stumbled across this. So you know how apparently the DNC in Georgia is being investigated for trying to hack the voting machines?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, what they were accused of doing is hacking the voter rolls.
Well, so here's new.
I was kidding about Pence, by the way.
Yeah, but they failed, right? Because they're not good at STEM.
Well, listen to this. This is, let's see, this was posted 27 minutes ago. Voters have filed a lawsuit against Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp on election night that will determine whether he or Democratic opponent Stacey Abrams will become the Peach State's next governor. The plaintiffs seek to, quote, bar Kemp from presiding over his own election. That includes barring him from certifying results or presiding over, quote, any runoff or recount procedures that would normally be exercised by the Secretary of State's office or the Board of Elections on which he also sits.
So they want to hand this over to independents or people who are not affiliated with him or the state
No,
legislator.
they're basically forcing a recusal, which should be a no-brainer to begin with.
Yeah, they basically don't want to allow him to challenge any election results that would seem fraudulent in any way.
In certain states, and my state actually here in Arizona is included in this. One of the roles, one of the jobs that's delegated to the Secretary of State is the certification of all elections. All right, so they're the ones who come back when the precincts count the rolls and they give the tallies. It's the job of the Secretary of the State to actually certify that these are the actual results and these are the final results for that state. Now, in the case of Georgia, the guy who is currently the Secretary of State is also the candidate on the Republican side running for governor, right? So at this point in time, you have what they call, a conflict of interest. It would come down to that. Now, under normal circumstances, in those cases, the person in that role would recuse themselves and stand aside, and their deputy would go. That job then for certification would fall to the deputy of the Secretary of State. Although apparently in Georgia law that isn't codified. In other words, he theoretically could say, "No, I'm the Secretary of State. This is my role. I'm going to certify the election." Now,
well, that would look terrible.
Here's a little bit more information real quick before we continue. The plaintiff cited Kemp's recent press release accusing Democrats of hacking the state's voter registration system as evidence of his, quote, bias. They claim that Kemp has, quote, violated the constitutional right to due process as enshrined in the 14th Amendment, violated the right to vote and the right of free association in violation of 42 U.S.C. 1983, and violated the First Amendment. They are seeking an emergency, temporary restraining order. Defendant Brian B. Kemp is a candidate for governor in Georgia. He's also Secretary of State of Georgia, charged with fairly administrating the state's elections. This violates a basic notion of fairness, that a man should not be judged in his own manner, and that has predictable results. The lawsuit, which was filed at 5 p.m., interesting, reads, in recent days, defendant Kemp has used official powers. Looking for that, it doesn't state in this particular article.
I have a bad feeling they attempted to file this in a federal court somewhere, and it's going to get shot back down, saying the state this will be an issue for the state.
Accused Democratic Party jury seeking to have.
Because you wouldn't mention the First and the 14th Amendments unless you were filing this in a federal court.
Yeah, it doesn't state what court it was actually filed in. But I mean, again, they also filed it at 5 p.m.
The absolute last minute where they could make any type of motion. That seems.
Yeah, that's an 11th hour move. Huh?
This is for the state of Georgia for governor.
No. So they're filing a motion to restrict his ability to do something that he would look like a complete brick for doing anyway.
Well,
more so, they're just. They're trying to restrict him from doing his job, essentially.
Real quick, out of Florida, we got our first check mark. Charlie Crist, the Democrat, has won the 13th district for the House. So we have one Democrat winner so far as Politico is concerned.
Yeah, the tally right now is 11 Democrats and 11 Republicans. So right now it's even. And in this, my prediction for this midterm elections, having studied this, it looks like it's going to be a Republican Senate. No way in hell will Ted Cruz lose. The only interesting Senate race is the one going on in Arizona between Kirsten Sinema and the Republican candidate whose name I cannot remember. Yeah, that's right. That race is also really, really close. But one race that I think the Democrats should be concerned about is Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota. Yeah, I think she's finished. There's no doubt. And it's right now, but God damn it, I hate these close races. You just want a fucking result, but this is gonna go on all night.
Yeah, I know, and we got another one in Florida, the 8th district for Congress. Bill Posey wins. He is the GOP guy. So yeah, it's pretty much dead even. You're right. As I'm scrolling through here in the Florida,
No, there's no sign of the blue wave then.
Not yet.
To be honest, it's too early to make that assessment if there's going to be a blue wave or not. To be honest.
Most of the congressional seats at this moment, most of the congressional seats have been pretty most of the congressional seats that have been won already were predicted to be safe Republican seats. So none of these are surprises.
It's looking like
really
a purple wave.
Yeah. But it's really we're not. I mean, I'm not seeing any surprises here. I mean, Indiana, Kentucky, the parts of Virginia that usually vote Republican, all of these are not surprising. There's no like, oh my God, shockers here. It's like you got safe Republican seats, you got the typical Democratic areas in Florida, and then you got the typical Democratic areas in Virginia. All of them seem to be going as predicted. So right now, but I'm curious about when we get to states like Ohio, Pennsylvania. That's the states I'm curious about. And Arizona.
Which were the ones that really tipped it for Trump? You know, where they said that they just managed to get it because of playing the political angle as opposed to.
That's Michigan, Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania is not. You can't use Pennsylvania as a bellwether because of the redistricting that went on.
No, that's true.
So the problem with doing that is no matter how you look at it, you don't know what becomes average because of the major. Pennsylvania went through a major redistricting across the board. So what's normal there? Nobody knows. Right? This is going to start to establish what's going to be happening. Right?
Oh, here's something.
Michigan and Wisconsin are where you're going to see whether or not Trump continues to have any sway. All right.
Here's something else interesting. This was posted 32 minutes ago. Georgia Secretary of State candidate Brian Kemp received a voter card that said invalid when he tried to use it to vote on Election Day. Kemp went to his home polling place in Winterville, Georgia on Tuesday afternoon and had to go back to get another voter card after unsuccessfully trying to vote, according to Georgia's Channel 2 Action News. Kemp is not the only Georgia voter to face issues casting their ballot. Many voters reported long wait times and malfunctioning voting machines. One polling site mistakenly installed only 3 voting machines. The closely watched race between Kemp and Democrat Stacey Abrams has been rife with accusations of voter suppression. Kemp has faced a number of lawsuits related to the state's voter registration laws over concerns about suppression of minority voters. Kemp is also facing calls to recuse himself from presiding over the race.
Well, I'm presuming that Kemp is Republican.
I read several articles on Fox and other news sources. I looked at several news sources for this, and apparently the voting machine problem has been all over the country. You had issues with this in New York. You had issues with this in Georgia, Arizona.
You have these issues in every election.
It's so weird. It's so retarded though, because it's the simplest bloody program. I mean, a fucking 12-year-old could do it with a
What happened to good old-fashioned paper ballots? Just use paper
exactly.
Well, even machines occasionally will malfunction, but you often hear about it when folks want to be like, "Oh my God, look at what's going on."
Yeah, but I mean, look at a video game, right? I mean, look at an arcade game. I mean, fucking Defender, and I mean, bloody Asteroids is more complicated as a program than a voting booth.
Did you see that? Do you guys remember that Simpsons episode when they tried to see Homer was trying to vote for John Kerry? And every time he tried to push the damn button, he actually accidentally voted for what was it?
GW.
Yeah, it was like. I love that.
One of the. Oh God.
No, one place where that actually happened, I believe that was, I'm not, I may be wrong on the state, but this actually did happen to a voting machines during a midterm elections. One guy was trying to vote for a Republican candidate, and all of a sudden the Democratic candidate popped up.
Well, there's
Oh, God.
accusations. Believe it or not, there's accusations of that all the time as well.
Well, no. If McCaskill wins in Missouri, I'm gonna feel vindicated when I said Austin Peterson should have got the nod, and they fucked up in their primary. Because
Oh,
I
God,
believe
this
Austin
is-
Peterson could have beat
I'll
her.
be surprised if McCaskill wins.
This is fucking
I
funny.
don't think that's even close.
As the only person in here who's probably hoping for a blue wave, I will say this: I will be very surprised if McCaskill retains her seat. She has become toxic these last few months.
Well, her stance on gun control alone is really hurting her in a state like Missouri. I mean, really, come on now.
This shit's fucking funny. I don't know why. This is from Tribune News Service. But the fact that they're even just reporting on this from an hour ago is hilarious to me. Trolls with a taste for misinformation royal waters on election day. Anti-democratic voices on social media Tuesday sought to trick Americans from voting on election day, despite warnings from the federal government of active campaigns by Russia and other nations to disrupt the elections. A handful of Twitter accounts, some of them with more than 10,000 followers, told the citizenry to vote Wednesday, not Tuesday, and a tactic to give blatantly false information. A reminder for all my liberal friends: don't forget to vote tomorrow, Wednesday, November 7th, said one tweet. Another tweet came from an account opened only days ago and directed at Texans who were deciding Tuesday whether to re-elect Senator Ted Cruz, a Republican, or turn toward Democrat Representative Beto O'Rourke. Please go vote Beto tomorrow, Wednesday, November 7th, said the account registered under the name Kent Green Jr. Whether those posting this disinformation were real people thinking they were engaged only in partisan mischief or actively influencing campaigns. Spell check, guys. Where was your fucking editor? Actively influencing campaigns by foreigners seeking to weaken the U.S. electoral system could not be immediately determined, but federal authorities were clearly concerned about foreign interference efforts. Facebook late Monday said it had received a tip from federal law enforcement and responded by taking down 85 Instagram accounts and 30 Facebook accounts. The Instagram accounts were mostly in English. Facebook accounts were in French and Russian, the company said.
Well, no, real quick.
Didn't they have this thing? Wasn't it a few weeks ago where they had the same thing? Where it was a month or so ago, where there were accounts that were set up, and it was don't vote if you're a man, or something, or a woman. No, that was it. We'll make women's votes more valuable. Men don't vote. Make women's vote more valuable or something.
Well, it seems like they're keeping the narrative going, apparently.
Well, no, real quick.
That's like week old news.
We got two foreigners here in the chat, at least. We got two British chaps. Are you guys trying to rig the election? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. GCHQ, mate. GCHQ. We've already got a back door into your voting machines.
Oh well. Okay.
Having been to Britain during an election, having been in Britain during an election, I can tell you this: the British couldn't rig a fucking school board.
It's true. Well, we don't have enough time either, because it only lasts about a month anyway. It's done and dusted before you blink and it's over.
I just imagine some British guy sneaking around election headquarters around America, going like, the guy from Lock, Stock, 2 Smoking Barrels. What's his name? The football player, the giant motherfucker.
Yeah, Vinnie Jones. Yeah, Vinnie Jones.
Can you imagine him just standing there? You're gonna vote for, right? Intimidating people. Fuck. If I was a voter and he came at me and told me to vote I would vote for whoever the fuck he wanted me to vote for. No questions asked, dude.
I'll be more worried about Harry the Hatchet with the 9-inch black dildo.
Hey, watch
One more reason
what
to carry.
Watch what you're talking about. My wife's in the chat, so I'm gonna get in trouble. She's recording everything. No. But
I think if your wife wanted to get you in trouble, all she'd have to do, if you really were that worried about it, would be listen to your other stream. It's not.
I know. No, it was
You
a
don't
joke.
bother to edit any of them.
Yeah, never. Yeah, I don't even go back and re-listen, which I might want to sometimes. Anyway, moving on. Let's see if there's some more results coming out. I've been looking at the House of Representatives because that's the one they think the Dems are going to win. But let's see if there's any Senate results coming in.
I'm going to have to head, guys. So you lot have fun, and I'll speak to you tomorrow.
Looks like Nelson will win re-election in the Senate in Florida.
That's gonna go down to the wire. They don't even have the polls haven't even closed.
No, Rick Scott is at 47.7%.
Tallahassee hasn't finished. I'm surprised anybody's trying to report on that because Tallahassee hasn't. The Tallahassee area is in a different time zone.
Yeah, but I'm looking at one of the districts in Tallahassee, and he's actually won there by 65%. Damn. And Rick Scott is leading in the other districts, but he's doing quite well in another part of Tallahassee. And
yeah, it's like I said, that's probably going to go down a long ways. That race is going to go for a while. I'm not saying that. Ben Nelson, for whatever reason, was very popular in that state, and always had been. And the other thing about it is that people talk about how Rick Scott was the governor, the former governor. Well, so was Ben Nelson. Ben Nelson was the governor of Florida as well. So there is a lot of name recognition on both sides in that race, and the incumbent is Nelson. And the power of an incumbency can't be, you can't shake a stick at it. It's important, right? So.
Well, yeah, I know, and I'm looking here at the actual governor race in Florida, and it's really interesting looking at this map. It mostly looks red, but the Democrat is winning, which is really interesting. Andrew Gillum right now has 51.8%. To Ron DeSantis at 47%, 13.7 reporting in. But even Tampa is going towards Ron. It's Hillsborough County, Orlando, Miami, and
well, yeah, but this is early on. I mean, you'll have to wait and see. I mean, I can tell you right now, you probably only have a few of those precincts reporting so far. So it's going to go down to the wire. It's going to go down to late at night. I think
it's going to be like I said, it's going to be one of those all-nighters where you have to wait until the very end. I mean, remember the 2016 election? How many states were too close to call? I mean, there was a shit ton of them. And it's going to be interesting. I got to say, I never seen a midterms like this before. There seems to be a lot of weird stuff going around, but you guys are very divided over there, so I don't know. I'm just trying to. I'm just damn curious to see what will happen in Arizona with the Senate race and Missouri and Tennessee.
You're going to be really disappointed in the Senate race here in Arizona. Kirsten Sinema does not have the kind of the only chance that she has, right, is the fact that Martha McSally is not well liked here. Okay, for a variety of different reasons. Right, there is a huge group of people that don't trust McSally and didn't want to vote for her. They didn't like her from the get-go.
I'm not too familiar with her. Any particular reason?
Well, I'll give you an example. She actually was the congressman from my district, and there are several outlets here, radio outlets and everything, that she refused to go on. Right, that she refused to sit up there and get interviewed from. And these were generally conservative outlets, and she was afraid to be questioned on these conservative outlets. And this was true of the primaries, and it was also true even after the primaries. She refused to come out to several of the Tucson outlets that want to interview her, preferring instead to just stick to what they would consider safe areas. And people are upset about that. And it is something that people are concerned with. Kirsten Sinema, on the other hand, is a hardcore leftist, right? But the media has been very good at preventing people from finding out what she's actually like, preferring instead to let the attack ads from McSally basically take most of the load. All right, how this is all going to play out, however, all right, I think turned when the caravan came in, because the caravan is wildly unpopular here in Arizona, and the fact that Kirsten Sinema won't say anything about it and hasn't said anything about it, I think is hurting her more than people admit. The national, and then comes the other thing, which is there's a huge difference between the local polls and the national polls, where the local polls have all been showing McSally with a lead, all right, by like between 5 and 6%, and Kirsten Sinema on the national polls has been showing a lead between 5 and 6%. So it comes down to, okay, what kind of turnout is going to happen, and nobody at this point in time honestly knows, right? So, but McSally, for example, has been very anti-Trump prior to this year, right? Which has irritated a lot of people on the conservative base here, all right? She refused to say who she voted for president. Many people believe that McSally voted for Hillary Clinton during the presidential election in 2016.
What do you think? First off, do you think she has to disclose who she voted for? Because even when I ask you, MC, if I ask you about your voting record, I go, you don't have to fucking say anything if you don't want to. Because to a lot of Americans, it's a very personal issue.
Well,
so
I honestly don't think that she necessarily has to. All right. But at the same time, when you're talking about it from a political standpoint, right, it's going to hurt you if you say that you don't support the president or the person who became president. When you won't come out and make that kind of claim early on, and she didn't do it for months. You got to remember, she hasn't asked for. She actually initially said that she didn't want Trump to come to the state to try and help her out. Okay, so she has put distance between herself and the president, right, at a time period when the president won this state by over 5 points. So she's really not helped herself in that regard. Now, the president did show up in Arizona one time, all right, but I think the fact that he didn't show up again demonstrates that they weren't worried about this state flipping.
I'm just looking at a few of the numbers here. Nothing really to report so far.
Well, Arizona, the polls hasn't closed here. It's only 5:47 right now.
Yeah.
So
it's good.
You got another probably hour and a half before the polls start closing. And while we do have what they call early voting in the state, none of the ballots can get opened until
that's why Oregon hasn't reported anything yet.
Hey guys, real quick, I gotta run, but it's always fun talking with y'all. Till next time.
Take it easy, man.
You too. Norwegian, Mad Dodge. Y'all have a good one.
You too, man.
It makes sense. It makes sense that you don't vote. That if you have early voting, that you can't have any kind of voting statistics until after the polls close, because otherwise, what you're doing, regardless of which party's in charge, you're giving them an edge. Whoever is the one reading these things, to let whatever party that they so desire, that they work for, you're giving them the potential of them reporting to other people, all right, and you're increasing the chance, of course, of some kind of nefarious voter fraud taking place at that point, right? It's a protection issue.
I just wanted to say one race that I'm curious about, just for the laughs, is New York's 14th congressional district. That's Ocasio-Cortez's district. If she loses, I'm gonna laugh, and I say this as a moderate who swings left. This woman is so fucking liberal. She makes Bernie Sanders look like a right winger. And I'm like, yeah, she doesn't know.
Do you really think there's any chance that she's not going to get elected?
Yeah, she is. I mean, come on. But here's the weird thing about New York's 14th. Joe Crawley, the guy she beat in the Democratic primary, is still on the ballot. He's actually on another ballot. He's not on the Democratic ballot, but because of the local rules, he's still allowed to be on the ballot. And apparently, and I'm curious to see if he's going to take away enough votes or manage to steal that from her in a way, because he has been the congressional representative for that district for many years. And I'm really curious if the people in there are going to say, shall we just stick with what we know? Or because he's the incumbent, and technically. And I'm curious to see if they're going to stick with what they know, or if they're going to go with Cortez. That is kind of where I'm curious about. And I say this as somebody who is not a fan of the president, but I will say this: I don't want her to be elected, because I don't think she doesn't have enough experience, and she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about.
Oh, she's definitely she's definitely someone who doesn't know what she's talking about.
A Republican friend of mine said if he had to choose between her and Bernie, he would choose Bernie in a heartbeat, because at least Bernie will let me keep my guns.
That's what I was about to say. Yeah, Bernie Sanders at least stood up for the Second Amendment in a Democratic fucking debate. Come on, you got to give him some props on that one, right, MC?
Well,
yeah,
it's a positive sign, yeah.
I mean, here's the weird part, though. I have a friend of mine who lives in Vermont, and he showed me pictures from the George W. Bush John Kerry election and he took pictures of the lawn signs from that sign. He saw, Republican signs, George Bush Cheney for president, and then Bernie Sanders for the Senate. And so they Republican voters who usually vote Republican in the presidential election, they voted for Bernie as their Senate candidate. So it's a really, I mean, he's very popular in his own district.
Yeah, in the state of Vermont.
Apparently, Bernie is winning in Vermont.
Yeah, Bernie's. Come on, Bernie's not going to lose Vermont. I mean, as much as I can't stand the commie, Bernie's not going to lose Vermont.
61.62%.
Yeah, I mean, that's like Cuomo losing the governorship in New York. That's not going to happen. As much as I would love to see Cuomo get the fuck out, that's not going to happen.
Are you in the New York area, in the Jersey area?
No. I'm just analyzing it, and I have friends of mine who live in New York, and they say that I mean, Cuomo is not popular even amongst the progressive Democrats. He's not very well liked, because he has apparently fucked so many things up. And if you ask anybody, one thing that constantly comes up is the subway system in New York, which people hold him personally responsible for. I'm not sure about all the details there, but apparently the subway is one talking point that keeps coming up regarding Cuomo.
The reason I was asking is I was going to ask you about, if you were from that area, if you had any feel for what was going to happen with Jersey and Menendez.
No, I do not. I haven't followed Jersey. Like I said, consider me an outsider looking in.
So you're the same as I am.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not American, by the way. So I'm a fucking Norwegian. I'm a liberal Norwegian. I'm your worst nightmare.
You're a freaking rat resistance, no problem.
Yeah. Like, we got a friend, Rat Resistance. He's from Norway. Me and him actually argued which is better, Norway or the U.S. And he is very left wing. And I'm a right leaning libertarian. So I'm like absolute freedom and blah blah blah. And he's arguing for gun control. It was fun.
Well, I'm actually. You might be surprised to hear my stance on gun control. I mean, I'm a former soldier. I served in the military, and my issue is not guns. My issue is one thing that we should focus more on, and I have heard this from American friends of mine as well, is mental health. That is the big one. and people don't want to talk about it because it's not a sexy issue, but it needs to be talked about because people's well-being is important. And I hate to use an NRA talking point, but guns don't kill people. People kill people. That's my opinion on guns in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you joined my Discord earlier. I believe that was you that jumped in, right?
Colonel Bequano. Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So, yeah, hopefully sooner or later you'll meet a couple of the other people in there. And I always drop the link. So, you and Rat Resistance might get along well. Just saying.
We probably will fight a lot too, because I may be on the left, but I'm not a progressive. I'm not that far to the left. Even though Doku, who has seen me argue with other people forcefully, will disagree with that. But I get it. I get invested in stuff. So, but I'm just like everybody else right now. I'm just looking at the results and trying to see what happens.
Well,
but
the American system, this is something that our foreigners don't really get, is not like the United States is nothing like Europe. Okay? One of the things that people constantly talk about, and they use terms and they think they mean the same thing, but they don't. Right? For example, when you say middle class in America versus middle class in Europe have an entire different overlay or different viewpoint, right, and outlook. Right? In the United States, middle class is strictly a relationship to how much money you make. It has nothing to do with what you work on. For example, there's plenty of people that are in middle class America that are plumbers or electricians, right, or carpenters, because it's just a distinction in America of where your monetary status is economically.
Yeah, right? But that's true. Yeah, but that's true here in Norway too. I mean, I know. I mean, I have plumbers who live here. They earn pretty damn well, and they have like a house and a fucking cabin.
But do they consider themselves middle class, or do they consider themselves working?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, I mean, because listening. The reason I said that is because listening to people like Sargon and people like the Britisher and stuff, their view of middle class doesn't include working class, regardless of how much they actually may have earned.
Yeah, I can explain that. If you can indulge me for a minute.
Well, sure.
You have to, as somebody who has lived in the UK, the UK, despite being a very modern nation in many ways, still have that old Victorian era classist system. We have in Norway, we never really had we had that system back in like before World War II, but you have to remember, Norway and Britain are two very fundamentally different countries with that has had a long relationship with each other. We have been allies through the war. We had done a lot of different things together, but we are very fundamentally different when it comes to the issues of class systems, because poverty in Norway per capita is really, really low. Nobody in this country has to live on the streets. That's just the way we are. That's how our system is built. Nobody should have to live on the streets here. If you see beggars when you go, but I want to finish.
Let him finish, Dodge, please.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just want to say. So when you say class and middle class, in Britain, working class usually mean people who are from like the northern parts of England. The northern parts of England, people who have been in a working class environment. Many of them have lost their jobs because of different reasons, like the coal mines closing down and stuff like that. We never had a similar situation as they did here in Norway, because in the 1960s, Norway discovered oil, a lot of it. And we have one of the biggest oil funds in the world, which has made us, well, obscenely rich, to be honest. And we never had a lot of the issues that Britain has dealt with when it comes to class systems. We have.
I figured out the next nation the U.S. needs to annex.
Oh yeah, but you're already here right now. There's 30,000.
I'm joking.
No. There's 30,000 Americans here in Norway right now.
Yeah, there is the NATO.
All right,
exercise
Dodge
going on
wanted
up
to
there.
talk.
I'm sorry.
No.
I said Dodge wanted to talk.
Well, no, yeah, well,
It's only his channel. We don't let him on it.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say to that Norwegian guy. All right, dude. Yeah, you guys have a safety net. But you also have a lower population density. And there's, you're a smaller country. We can't really necessarily have the type of safety net that you guys have over there. And that was the point I tried to get across to Rat Resistance when he started bringing this up, because this is something we went back and forth on with the differences between Norway and the United States.
Well,
We're not
going to
gonna
say something. I'm going to say something that many people probably will sit up there and deny, which is in the United States today. The idea that you have to be homeless. You don't have to be homeless in the United States. The vast majority of our homeless population, in a lot of ways, is there due to some kind of mental illness combined generally with drugs. All right, because there's lots of safety net accoutrements that are out there for the people who just all of a sudden find themselves in a bad financial situation. If something untold happens to them, if the breadwinner in the household dies, and all of a sudden they find themselves out on the street. The vast majority of the people that you see as homeless people in the United States have a drug addiction problem or a mental problem, and most likely both.
Yeah, and that brings me back to the issue of mental health. But I want to respond to what you said about not implementing a safety net in the United States. I agree. Your country is freaking massive, and doing it on a federal level would be next to impossible. That's why I would suggest trying to do it at a state level. Let the states take care of it. I mean, states' rights and all that. I mean, most of these states, many states in the United States are as big as certain countries. So I think that if states were given more opportunity to basically make their own decisions, I think that would be a good thing. Well, less federal government involved. I know I sound like a Republican right now, but I actually believe in states' rights as a talking point. I think that's important.
He's a minarchist. We got a minarchist.
Yeah, welcome.
I thought you said you were a lefty.
No, I am a lefty, but here's the thing. I believe that universal health care. I believe that the safety nets. Those are issues that can be handled by the states, and I believe that if you help the state run it by themselves, don't let the federal government run it, but let the states run it. I think that would be a better solution, one that could work in the U.S. Not let the federal government get involved. Don't have some bureaucrat.
Convention of states. Reduce the power of the federal government. Convention of states. Sooner or later, Mad Dodge, you'll come around.
I still think that's a dangerous proposition. I really do. And just like I'm never going to convince you that secession is legal, it's just not going to happen.
I didn't say secession wasn't legal. I would say the way they did it was illegal. You just failed to listen to me.
I failed to listen to you 14 weeks in a row. This weekend, but anyway.
Can I ask a question? Why the hell is Texas called a republic and not a state? That is something I never gotten.
Okay, Texas came into the Union via vote and annexation, pretty much. They fought a war with Mexico themselves, won independence, and then joined. They were their own country for what, a year and a half, 2 years, MC?
Closer to 5 or 6, almost 10 years.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
But somebody made a joke once that the U.S. fought a big war with Mexico over Texas. The U.S. lost and was forced to keep Texas.
No, actually, okay. What? All right. During the Texas revolted from Mexico. Okay, and on the issue of slavery more than anything else. All right. When the Texans won their freedom for all intents and purposes, they immediately petitioned the United States to become a state. That petition was unsuccessful initially. The United States said no. The Congress said, no, we're not going to admit Texas as a state. So at that point right there, Texas had to create its own government. It became the Republic of Texas until succeeding petitions were then recognized, and they were allowed to come into the Union, all right, as a slave state, while Maine came into the Union as a free state.
Okay. No, that's really
Oh
interesting.
no, you said the word slave.
Because
well, no,
that
no,
was the
Jake,
issues going on was which
it's
states
always
were going to come
slavery
in.
with you. Hey, Lincoln, calm down. No,
I'm sorry, there's a thing called history, something you failed to learn from.
yeah. Jacob says, no, 10 years, Mad Dodge. Damn outsiders not knowing my state's history. I apologize. I'm from Louisiana. My bad. I know it's right next door, but, you know, we got purchased. they bought the Louisiana territory, so sorry, man.
I'm not buttoning on this one. I don't have any cigarettes. I just have suckers, and I'm going through them faster than I care to.
That's a good question, ain't Jock? I don't know what the hell they teach in schools anymore. They sure as hell don't teach American history.
I have American history books.
You're not a school.
I'm
I know
a
you're a
school teacher.
That might be true, but you're not a school yourself.
All right, let's see what's going on. See if there's any more updates going on. We've hit the 2-hour mark. You're right. We are going to end up being here all night if we try and wait till the end of it. And I did tell Just My Stupid Opinion I'd be over there. So, so far in the House, it looks like 18 Democrats have won and 16 Republicans.
Hey, Ash, would you go look at General in your Discord? I just posted 2 screen captures. It shows actual pictures. I figured you could share them with the rest of the class to bring it back to school for you, MC.
Well, yeah, MC, if you want to screen share, I don't know if my computer is going to do it right now with all these tabs open.
What do you want me to screen share?
She shared a couple maps. It looks mostly red, but then again, you got to look at population density.
I just assume it's in Discord. Is that what you said?
Yeah,
They're in general chatting. They
I didn't have it open at the time. That's why I asked. Sorry.
Well, you better get on your game better. You're the one who's always ranting at us.
Well, guys,
you gotta do this. You gotta know your research. La la la.
Well, guys, it's getting pretty late here, so I think I'm gonna turn in because I gotta go hit the gym tomorrow. I'll probably wake up screaming or laughing when I see the results.
Well, no, nice to meet you.
Why not do both?
And now you're in the Discord, so hopefully you come around and we can hang out again. Take it easy.
Yeah, you guys take care. You have a good night.
So this is what you want me to share right here? Is this what you're talking about right now?
I can't see what you're showing.
MADDS, is this what you wanted to show?
Aha, yes.
Yeah, it was Sherardi that wanted it shown, but yeah. It looks mainly red, but I mean the population density though.
There was 2 of them. One had the House on it, and one was the Senate. Or yeah, one was House, and the other one was Senate. Because I have the AP one open, and the other one is Politico.
They're not showing Jersey. That's interesting. I mean, that's still going.
Well, if you're in line before the polls close, they have to let you vote, right?
Normally they do. They don't have to. I mean, it depends on the state, what the rules are. So what is he doing for a face reveal for me?
I have no idea.
Oh my God, I gotta present that to everybody. He's not gonna copyright you. There we go. That's great. Fucking magic bollocks.
I guess I should stop sharing, huh?
Well, no, I'll stop presenting you. But yeah, no, he's not going to copyright us. He better not. If I get a copyright strike, bollocks, I'm coming after you, buddy.
Well, it wasn't long enough. It wasn't even 30 seconds, so I was curious. That's what he's got me listed as. At least he didn't give me a hammer and sickle. I'm happy about that.
No, he's going to do that for me.
But yeah, guys, I think
He's waiting to chop off Dodge's head.
I think we're going to wrap it up here, and we'll probably do a recap of the election tomorrow on the Redeye. If you guys want to fucking continue to hear me blabber on about the fucking election, I'll be over on Just My Stupid Opinions channel. Go check it out. He's a good guy. He's Canadian. Don't know why he's covering the U.S. election, but
because everybody is.
I'm going to head over there.
We had a Norwegian come in here and 2 Brits. What the hell more do you want?
I know, right? MC, I'm sure he wouldn't care if you jumped over there also, but I'll ask him if you'd like. I don't know if you have to go eat dinner or what.
It is definitely dinner time here. So I'm going to beg off. I apologize. But I'll probably show up sooner or later.
It's like 7 o'clock there.
All right. No.
Past dinner time.
Right. It's still, it's 6. You guys we had the time change. That's right. We're not the same time zone anymore.
Nope.
But yeah,
you're
good
in
night.
the them zone.
Yeah. What night? No. Good night. Good luck. And don't fucking, please, for God's sake,
don't vote Democrat.
Yeah, if you voted Democrat, I have an Ethernet cord for you over here. I'm not going to tell you what to do with it, but there's also a nice tall pole. Anyway, good night. Peace.